Tonight we embark on a journey that requires the most difficult sacrifice of all, which is the sacrifice of your current limitations and the abandonment of your most cherished struggles. I am here to speak to you about a delusion that has ensnared the minds of men and women for centuries, and it is this delusion that stands as the single barrier between you and the life you desire. The delusion is the firm and unshakable belief that there is a world outside of yourself that is independent of your own perception, and that this outer world holds the power to dictate your happiness, your wealth, and your destiny. When I tell you to relax, I am not merely suggesting a physical state of ease or a momentary pause from your daily labor, though that is important. I am speaking of a profound inner knowing and a complete spiritual surrender to the truth that what you desire is already yours in the realm of the invisible. This is where we must begin, because if you do not understand where reality truly originates, you will spend your entire life fighting battles that were never meant to be fought. Most of you here tonight or listening to my voice are making the tragic mistake of struggling. You are fighting against circumstances and wrestling with conditions. You look at your bank account and you fight the lack you see there with anxiety. You look at your relationships and you fight the discord with arguments. You look at your physical body and you fight the symptoms with fear. You believe that by exerting enough force and by trying hard enough, you can change the reflection in the mirror without changing the face that stands before it. I tell you that in that very struggle you are perpetuating the conditions you wish to change, because consciousness is the only reality. The world you see around you is nothing more than a shadow cast by the light of your own consciousness, and you cannot change a shadow by fighting it. You can only change the shadow by moving the object that casts it. Whatever you resist persists, because to resist something is to give it your attention, and attention is the lifeblood of reality. Whatever you fight against, you strengthen, because you are validating its existence in your world. Consider for a moment the room you are sitting in or the device you are holding. You believe these things to be solid and real, existing outside of you. But may I tell you that you have never seen anything outside of your own consciousness. You have never in all your life seen anything but the contents of your own magnificent mind projected outward. Everything you perceive is a mental activity within you. The chairs, the walls, the people, the problems, and the triumphs are all images within the screen of your consciousness. The great delusion is the belief that the cause of your life lies in the physical world. You think you are unemployed because of the economy. You think you are lonely because of the behavior of others. You think you are sick because of genetics or bad luck. These are secondary causes. They are the shadows on the wall. The primary cause, the only operative power in this universe, is your own wonderful human imagination. There is no other God, and there is no other cause. When you understand this, you realize that the secret of change is not in doing, but in being. It is not in struggling, but in knowing. The world is a mirror that reflects perfectly and without judgment the state of consciousness you are currently occupying. If you are angry, the world will present you with reasons to be angry. If you are fearful, the world will present you with terrifying circumstances. If you feel lack, the world will drain your resources. The mirror does not generate the image, it only reflects it. Therefore, it is futile to scream at the mirror. It is futile to try to manipulate the reflection. You must turn your attention inward to the only place where change can occur. You must change your conception of yourself. This is what I mean by dying to the old self. You cannot keep the old man with his grievances and his victimhood and expecting to live in a new world. You must abandon the old self completely and assume the feeling of the new. Let me share with you a principle that has transformed countless lives, yet remains the most difficult for the rational mind to accept. An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is the foundation of all successful manifestation, and it is the key to breaking the great delusion. Most people wait for the facts to change before they will change their feelings. They say to me, Neville, when I get the money, I will feel secure, or when I meet the right person, I will feel loved. They are slaves to the evidence of their senses. They are reacting to the world rather than creating it. But the spiritual man, the awakened man, operates in reverse. He assumes the feeling of security before the money arrives. He assumes the feeling of being loved before the partner appears. He lives in the end. And because he remains faithful to that assumption, the world has no choice but to reshape itself to match his inner conviction. Consider what you truly desire in your life right now. Is it wealth or love or recognition or health? Whatever it may be, it already exists. It is not something you have to manufacture or force into existence. It already exists in the realm of infinite possibility, which is the imagination. Creation is finished. Every possible version of your life already exists as a state of consciousness. You are not creating a new state, you are simply selecting one. You are moving from the state of the man who desires to the state of the man who has. Your task is not to create the solution, but to appropriate it through the power of your consciousness. And the greatest enemy to this appropriation is your reliance on your physical senses. Your senses will always tell you that you are poor or sick or lonely. If you listen to them, you become their servant. To be the master of your fate, you must ignore the evidence of the senses and trust only the evidence of your imagination. Many of you are frustrated because you are trying to serve two masters. You spend 10 minutes in meditation imagining you are wealthy, and then you spend the rest of the day worrying about your bills. You are double-minded, and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You are trying to put new wine into old wineskins, and the skins are bursting. You cannot hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled while simultaneously reacting to the lack in your physical world. You must withdraw your attention from the problem. This does not mean you pretend the problem doesn't exist in the physical world, but you deny its authority over your mind. You deny it the power to dictate your emotional state. You stand in the conviction that your inner reality is the true reality, and the outer world is merely a temporary echo that will soon fade. This brings us to the necessity of total surrender, which is the opposite of the struggle you are used to. When you truly relax, you enter a state where your conscious intellectual mind with all its doubts and fears subsides. The intellectual mind is the guardian of the old self. It is the voice that says, be realistic and look at the facts. But we are not here to be realistic, we are here to be creators. When you relax, you slip past this guardian and enter the state of your subconscious mind, which is the realm of manifestation. It is in this relaxed state that the seed of your desire can be planted effectively. You cannot plant a seed in concrete, and you cannot plant a spiritual seed in a mind that is tense and anxious and filled with the noise of the world. You must become soft. You must become yielding. You must become like the soil that accepts the seed without question. Many of you are like someone standing at the shore, commanding the tide to change through shouting and physical exertion. You are exhausting yourself trying to force people to change and trying to force doors to open. You are using force because you do not have faith. If you truly knew that your imagination creates reality, you would not struggle. You would rest. You would be still. The Bible tells us to be still and know. This stillness is not passivity. It is the highest form of action. It is the action of holding a mental state in the face of contrary evidence. It is the discipline of remaining faithful to an unseen reality until it becomes seen. This is the great work. It is not physical labor, it is mental and spiritual discipline. Let us look deeper into why you struggle. You struggle because you believe there is a time lag that must be filled with effort. You believe that between the desire and the fulfillment there is a vast distance that you must traverse with blood and sweat. This is the delusion of time. In consciousness there is no time. There is only the eternal now. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you have already arrived. The bridge of incidents that leads you to the physical manifestation is established the moment you accept the end. You do not need to build the bridge. You do not need to know how the bridge will appear. A higher intelligence, a dimension of your own being that is far greater than your conscious mind, orchestrates the events. Your interference only delays the process. Your anxiety only creates blockages. Your job is to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled and let the outer world unfold as it must. So tonight I ask you to challenge your most basic assumptions about reality. I ask you to stop looking for causes on the outside. Stop blaming your past. Stop blaming your environment. Stop looking for a savior in the form of a lottery ticket or a politician or a change in the laws. You are the operant power. You are the central actor in your own drama, and you are also the writer and the director. If you do not like the play you are in, stop fighting the other actors. They are only saying the lines you wrote for them in your own consciousness. Change your feeling of I, and the whole vast world will change its behavior toward you. This is the only way. There is no other way. You must die to the old self that believes in the power of the world and be born as the new self that believes in the power of imagination. As we move forward into the practical application of this law, I want you to carry this foundation with you. The world is yours to shape, but it cannot be shaped by force. It can only be shaped by the gentle and persistent assumption of the wish fulfilled. You must stop trying to change the world and start trying to be the person who lives in the world you desire. This distinction is subtle, but it is the difference between failure and success. The delusion is that you must do to be. The truth is that you must be to do. So let us now turn our attention to the discipline of relaxation and learn how to enter that state where the impossible becomes inevitable and where the invisible becomes solid fact. Having established that the world you perceive is a projection of your own consciousness, we must now address the primary reason why so many of you fail to change that projection. You fail not because you lack desire, and certainly not because you lack the willingness to work hard, but rather you fail because you are trying too hard. This brings us to the discipline of relaxation, which is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in the entire study of spiritual law. When I speak of relaxation, I am not speaking of laziness or lethargy or the abandonment of your responsibilities in the physical world. I am speaking of a deliberate and high spiritual discipline that is the gateway to the subconscious mind. Most of you have been conditioned by a society that worships struggle. You have been taught from childhood that if you want something valuable, you must fight for it, you must strain for it, and you must exert your physical and mental will against the resistance of the world until you conquer it. But I tell you that in the realm of creation, this approach is not only useless, it is counterproductive. This is the great paradox of the spirit, which is that effort is the enemy of manifestation. To understand why effort fails, we must look at the mechanism of the mind. You possess a conscious mind which looks at the world through the five senses and judges what is true based on what it sees, and you possess a subconscious mind which is the creative power of God within you. The subconscious mind accepts as true whatever you impress upon it with feeling, and once accepted, it proceeds to objectify that truth in your world. The problem arises when you try to use your conscious will to force a desired state that your subconscious has not yet accepted. There is a law known in psychology as the law of reversed effort, which states that whenever your will and your imagination are in conflict, your imagination will invariably win. If I were to place a long wooden plank on the ground and ask you to walk across it, you would do so effortlessly because your imagination tells you that you are safe. But if I were to suspend that same plank 100 feet in the air between two buildings and ask you to walk across it, you would likely freeze in terror. Your will would scream at you to walk, but your imagination would vividly picture you falling. And the harder you tried to force yourself to walk, the more paralyzed you would become. This is exactly what you are doing in your daily lives when you try to force a manifestation through willpower. You say to yourself, I will be wealthy and I will force this business to succeed, but deep in your imagination, you are feeling the terror of poverty and the fear of failure. You are gritting your teeth and working 18 hours a day, believing that your physical exhaustion will somehow pay for your success. But your subconscious mind is not impressed by your sweat. It is only impressed by your conviction. When you struggle, you are broadcasting a very specific signal to the universe. You are broadcasting the signal of resistance. And what does resistance imply? It implies that the thing you desire is not here. You do not struggle to possess the air you breathe because you know it is abundant and available. You only struggle for that which you feel you lack. Therefore, your very struggle is a confirmation of your lack. By trying so hard to get the money or to get the relationship, you are screaming to the subconscious mind that you do not have it. And since the subconscious creates what you are conscious of being, it faithfully reproduces your state of lack and struggle. You are working against the very law that would set you free. Let us go deeper into this error of force. Many of you are like a man standing at the shore of the ocean commanding the tide to change. You scream at the waves and you beat the water with your fists and you exhaust yourself trying to push the ocean back. You believe that if you just shout louder or push harder, the tide will obey. But the tide is governed by celestial mechanics, by the silent pull of the moon and the rotation of the earth. Your physical tantrum means nothing to the ocean. In the same way, the conditions of your life are the tides of your consciousness. They are governed by the deep, silent movements of your inner feeling. When you try to change your life through external force and anxious striving, you are merely beating the water. You may create a lot of splashes and you may exhaust yourself, but the tide will continue to do what it was ordained to do by the state of your consciousness. To change the tide, you must stop fighting the water and change the influence that moves it. You must change your internal state. This is why relaxation is a discipline. It requires immense self-control to stop fighting. It requires a radical kind of courage to look at a pile of unpaid bills or a medical diagnosis, and instead of reacting with panic and frantic action, to withdraw into the silence of your own being. When you panic, your mind becomes a storm of chaotic thoughts. In this state of tension, your subconscious mind is impenetrable. It is locked tight against your suggestions. You cannot plant a seed in soil that has been stomped into hard clay. You must first till the soil. You must break it up and soften it. Relaxation is the tilling of the mind. When you relax the body and quiet the mind, you are softening the soil of your soul, so that the seed of your desire can fall into the fertile depths and take root. Without this relaxation, your affirmations and your visualizations simply bounce off the surface of your mind like rain on a tin roof. They make a lot of noise, but they do not penetrate. Consider the story I shared earlier of the woman who was working herself to death trying to save her business. She was a woman of great will. She had what the world calls grit, but she was failing miserably. Why? Because her state of consciousness was one of desperate survival. Every client she called felt her desperation. Every decision she made was born from fear. She was repelling the very success she was chasing, because you cannot attract what you are not. You attract what you are. And she was a personification of struggle. When I told her to relax, she thought I was insane. She thought relaxation was dangerous. She believed that if she stopped spinning the plates, they would all crash. This is the lie of the ego. The ego believes it must control everything. But when she finally surrendered, when she finally disciplined herself to spend time each day in a state of profound physical and mental relaxation, she stopped interfering with the operation of the law. In that silence, she was able to assume the feeling of success, and because she was relaxed, that feeling was able to penetrate her subconscious. The outer actions she took after that were no longer forced. They were inspired. They flowed naturally from her new state of being. We must distinguish between action that comes from force and action that comes from flow. I am not telling you to sit on a couch and do nothing for the rest of your life. I am telling you that action which proceeds from anxiety and a sense of lack is always counterproductive. It creates more problems than it solves. But action that proceeds from a state of relaxed assurance, from the deep knowing that the end is already accomplished, is powerful and effective. Think of a great musician. When a master pianist plays a complex concerto, he is not tense. He is not straining his muscles or gritting his teeth. He is in a state of flow. His body is relaxed, even though his hands are moving with great speed and precision. If he were to tense up, he would stumble. He would miss the notes. Manifestation is exactly the same. It is a performance of the spirit. To perform perfectly, you must be relaxed. You must trust that the power flowing through you is greater than your conscious effort. This state of relaxation I am calling you to is the bridge between the visible and the invisible. When you are tense, you are trapped in the three-dimensional world of your senses. You are hyper-aware of your problems and your limitations. But as you relax, as you deliberately release the tension from your muscles and the anxiety from your mind, you begin to detach from this limited world. The sensory inputs fade. The noises of the world recede. You are no longer defined by your problems. You become a center of pure awareness. It is in this state, and only in this state, that you are free to select a new reality. If you try to imagine a new life while you are tense, you will carry the feeling of tension into your imaginal act. You will imagine wealth, but you will feel tense. And the subconscious will accept the tension, not the wealth. You will manifest a life where you might have money, but you will be stressed and miserable, because the feeling of tension was the vehicle that carried the desire. You must learn to die to the urgency of the moment. The old self screams that you must do something right now or disaster will strike. The discipline of relaxation is the ability to say to the old self, be silent. It is the ability to withdraw your attention from the screaming senses and rest in the knowing that creation is finished. When you are truly relaxed, you are declaring to the universe that you trust the law. Tension is a lack of faith. Relaxation is the ultimate act of faith. It is the confidence that the seed has been planted and the harvest is sure. A farmer does not stand over his field screaming at the corn to grow. He does not dig up the seeds every hour to check on them. He plants them and then he relaxes. He trusts the chemistry of the soil and the light of the sun. You are the gardener of your soul. Your desires are the seeds. Your relaxation is the trust that allows the seed to die and be reborn as fruit. So I invite you to examine your life today. Where are you struggling? Where are you trying to force a door open? Where are you using the battering ram of your will against a stone wall? Stop, step back, drop your arms, take a breath. Realize that this struggle is the very thing that is holding your good away from you. You are blocking the flow of the divine power with your own tension. You must learn to let go, not giving up on your desire, but giving up the struggle to force it into being. You must move from the state of the achiever to the state of the receiver. The receiver is open. The receiver is relaxed. The receiver expects the gift and leaves the door unlatched. The achiever is often so busy banging on the door that he cannot hear the knock of the opportunity waiting on the other side. This discipline is not easy because it goes against everything you have been taught. It requires you to be in the world but not of it. It requires you to maintain a sense of inner peace while the storm rages around you. But this is the price of mastery. You cannot be the master of your world if you are a slave to your reactions. The master knows that his power lies in his ability to control his internal state, regardless of external conditions, and the foundation of that control is relaxation. Without it, you are merely a leaf in the wind blown about by every headline and every circumstance. With it, you are the mountain, immovable and serene. And it is from this place of deep inner stillness that you will command the mountains in your world to move, and they will obey you. Now, having understood why your struggle has failed, let us turn our attention to the specific technique of how to use this relaxation to appropriate the life you desire. Now that we have established the absolute necessity of relaxation, we arrive at the pivotal moment of action. We have tilled the soil of the mind through silence, and now we must plant the seed. This brings us to the technique of appropriation, which is the art of taking possession of that which is not yet visible to the eye but is fully known to the soul. I use the word appropriation deliberately because you are not creating something from nothing. Creation is finished. All things that you could ever possibly desire already exist in the vast eternal repository of creation. They exist as states of consciousness, waiting for a human occupant. Your desire is not a request to God to manufacture a new reality for you. It is a signal that you are ready to inhabit a reality that has always existed. Therefore, your work is not to make it, but to take it. You must appropriate it. You must claim it. You must occupy it. And the way you do this is through a very specific movement of the mind, which I call thinking from the end. We must make a clear and sharp distinction here between thinking of a state and thinking from a state. This is where 90% of students fail. They think of their desire, they think of the money they want, they think of the health they need, they think of the partner they crave. When you think of something, you are looking at it from a distance. You are separating yourself from the object of your desire. You are here and it is there, and as long as it is there, it cannot be here. To think of a new home is to see it in your mind's eye while knowing you are sitting in your old apartment. This confession of separation perpetuates the separation, but to think from the state is to enter into it. It is to look at the world from the vantage point of the wish fulfilled. If you were physically in that new home right now, how would you see the world? You would not see the new home. You would see the street outside from the window of the new home. You would feel the floorboards of the new home under your feet. The new home would not be an object of your thought. It would be the place from which you are thinking. This is the secret. You must mentally move into the state and view the world from it. Let us return to the story of my friend the businesswoman that I mentioned earlier to illustrate exactly how this technique is performed. You will recall she was in a state of financial collapse and exhaustion. She had relaxed her body and quieted her mind as I instructed, but now she needed to act. She needed to appropriate the state of a successful, thriving business owner. I told her that she must not imagine herself looking at her business from the outside, wishing it would succeed. Instead, she was to go into her imagination and perform a drama that implied the success was already a present fact. We constructed a scene together that was simple yet loaded with implication. The scene was this. She was sitting at her desk in her office. She was to feel the solidity of the chair beneath her. She was to place her hand on the telephone and feel the cold, hard plastic of the receiver. She was to feel the weight of it. Then in her imagination, she was to hear the phone ring. Not a memory of a ring, but a present tense reality. She was to lift the receiver and hear the voice of her assistant. The dialogue we chose was short and natural. She was to hear the assistant say to her words that implied they were overwhelmed with new orders. She was to hear the words clearly, and she was to reply with a feeling of immense relief and satisfaction. Then she was to hang up the phone and feel the sense of a job well done. But we did not stop there. I told her to engage other senses. I asked her to visualize her bank statement. She was to see the paper in her hands. She was to see the specific numbers in the balance column, numbers that implied she had more than enough to pay all her creditors and still have a handsome profit. She was not just to see the numbers as ink on paper, she was to feel the emotional impact of those numbers. What is the feeling of financial security? It is a deep exhale. It is a loosening of the knot in the stomach. It is a feeling of gratitude. I told her to look at those imaginary numbers until she felt a wave of relief wash over her body. Now this sounds simple, but do not be deceived. When she first attempted this, her rational mind rebelled. She sat in the silence and tried to imagine the phone ringing, but her reason screamed at her that the phone was silent. She tried to see the bank statement, but her memory flashed the image of her overdrawn account. She told me later that she felt like a fool. She said, "Neville, this is a lie. I am sitting here playing pretend while my world is falling apart. This is the crisis point that every creator must face. You must decide which world is real. Is it the world of the senses which tells you that you are broke and failing? Or is it the world of imagination which tells you that you are prosperous and successful? You must be bold enough to call the physical world a lie and the imaginal world the truth." I told her that her current poverty was just a hardened shadow of her past imagination. If she wanted to change the shadow, she had to ignore it and persist in the new imaginal act. She had to suspend her reason and trust her imagination. So she persisted. Night after night, she went into her quiet room. She relaxed her body until she couldn't feel her extremities. Then she entered the scene. She felt the phone. She heard the ring. She had the conversation. She saw the statement. She did it over and over again until the scene began to take on the tones of reality. This is crucial. You must repeat the imaginal act until it feels natural. The first time you do it, it will feel artificial. The 10th time, it will feel like a memory. The 50th time, it will feel like a present fact. She reached a point where she could hear that phone ring in her mind as clearly as she could hear my voice. She could feel the texture of the paper statement as vividly as she could feel her own bed sheets. And most importantly, the feeling of anxiety began to be replaced by a feeling of naturalness. She no longer felt desperate. She felt a quiet confidence. She felt that it was done. This feeling of naturalness is the sign that the subconscious has accepted the impregnation. When the desire feels natural to you, it means you have successfully appropriated the state. And what was the result? As I told you, within 2 months her business was transformed. But notice how it happened. It did not happen by magic in the sense of gold coins falling from the ceiling. It happened through a bridge of incidents that seemed completely natural. An old client who had left her years ago called suddenly with a massive contract. It seemed like luck. A marketing idea she had tried months ago and failed suddenly started generating leads. It seemed like a coincidence. A competitor went out of business and their customers flocked to her. It seemed like the market shifting. But to the awakened eye, these were not accidents. They were the orchestrated movements of the universe rearranging itself to match the pattern she had set in her imagination. She had moved into the state of success in her mind, and the outer world was compelled to reflect that state. She did not have to chase the clients. She only had to appropriate the state of having them, and they came. This technique of appropriation requires you to engage your spiritual senses. You have spiritual eyes that can see what the physical eyes cannot. You have spiritual ears that can hear what is inaudible to the world. You have spiritual hands that can touch the substance of things hoped for. When you enter your imaginal scene, you must bring these senses to life. If you are imagining a new car, do not just see a picture of it. Open the door. Smell the new leather. Feel the grip of the steering wheel. Feel the vibration of the engine as you turn the key. Hear the sound of the door slamming shut. The more sensory vividness you can bring to the scene, the more quickly it will impress the subconscious mind. You are giving your subconscious mind a dress rehearsal of reality. And because the subconscious cannot distinguish between a vivid imagination and a physical fact, it accepts your imaginal act as having truly happened. It then proceeds to bring about the necessary conditions to make it happen in the outer world. However, there is a trap you must avoid. You must not do this with the attitude of trying to make something happen. You must do it with the attitude of experiencing it because it has already happened. There is a subtle but powerful difference. If you are imagining in order to get the car, you are confessing you don't have it. If you are imagining to enjoy the car, you are confessing that it is yours. You must play the part for the sheer joy of playing it. You must enter the feeling of the wish fulfilled for the satisfaction of the feeling itself. When my friend imagined her business success, she did not do it with one eye open, checking to see if the phone was really ringing. She lost herself in the drama. She enjoyed the feeling of relief. She enjoyed the feeling of competence. She derived her satisfaction from the imaginal act itself. And because she was satisfied in imagination, she did not crave the physical evidence. This detachment from the need for proof is what allows the proof to appear. Therefore, your assignment in this technique of appropriation is to construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. It must be a short scene so that you can repeat it without your mind wandering. It must be a scene that follows the fulfillment of your desire, not one that precedes it. Do not imagine yourself applying for the job. Imagine yourself being congratulated on getting the job. Do not imagine yourself buying the lottery ticket. Imagine yourself depositing the winnings. Always go to the end. The end is where the power lies. Construct a scene that implies it is done. Enter that scene with your spiritual body. See through those eyes. Hear with those ears. Feel with those hands. And do this with such intensity and such fidelity that for a moment you forget you are sitting in a chair in your room and you believe you are actually there in the future you have selected. When you open your physical eyes and return to the three-dimensional world, you may feel a momentary shock. You may look around and see that the old conditions are still there. Do not be discouraged. In fact, you should rejoice. That shock is proof that you were truly in the other state. You have successfully planted the seed. Now your duty is to walk through your day with the quiet assumption that it is done. Do not discuss it with others. Do not ask for advice. Do not look for signs. Just carry the secret knowledge in your heart. You have seen it, you have felt it, you have appropriated it, it is yours, and no power on earth can keep it from you. The bridge of incidents will appear, the way will open, the means will be provided. You have performed the spiritual act of creation, and the physical confirmation is inevitable. This is the technique of appropriation. It is simple, it is profound, and it never fails. Now let us explore how this understanding shifts our relationship with the most stubborn illusion of all, which is the illusion of time. Before we proceed to the mystery of time, a concept that confuses so many seekers, I want to pause for a moment. You are here because you are seeking the truth about your own power. You are not just a casual viewer, you are a student of the law. If you find that these teachings are resonating with something deep within your soul, if you feel a remembrance awakening, then I invite you to join our community. By subscribing to this channel, you are doing more than just clicking a button. You are setting an intention. You are telling your subconscious mind that you prioritize this wisdom above the noise of the world. We are building a sanctuary here for those who refuse to be victims of circumstance. If you are ready to claim your power, click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Let us walk this path of awakening together. Now, let us dissolve the illusion of time. We have discussed the discipline of relaxation and the technique of appropriation, but now we must confront the single greatest stumbling block that causes men and women to abandon their dreams just before the harvest. That stumbling block is the illusion of time. You have imagined the state and you have felt the reality of it, but then you open your eyes and the senses scream that nothing has happened. You look at the calendar and you see days turn into weeks and weeks into months, and a voice of doubt whispers within you asking why it has not yet appeared. This question reveals that you have not truly accepted the state in consciousness, because if you had accepted it, you would not be looking for it. You only look for what you do not have. If I place a diamond in your hand, you do not ask me when you will receive the diamond. You thank me for it. The very act of asking when implies that you are not currently in possession of your desire. And this is the great secret that you must grasp tonight. To be in a state of waiting is to be in a state of lack. The law of consciousness is precise, and it does not pity your impatience. If you dwell in the state of waiting, you will continue to manifest more waiting. To break this cycle, you must understand the true nature of time and the power of the name of God, which is I am. Time is not a straight line as your logical mind perceives it. It is a facility for changes in experience, but in the deeper reality of the fourth dimension, all things exist simultaneously. Every moment of your past and every possibility of your future exists right now in the eternal structure of the universe. Think of a movie film. When you hold a reel of film in your hands, the beginning, the middle, and the end all exist at the same time in your hand. But when you thread it through a projector and shine a light through it, you experience the story in sequence. You see time unfold. Your consciousness is the light of the projector. The film is the finished creation. You are not creating the future scenes of your life. You are merely illuminating them with your attention. The scene where you are wealthy, the scene where you are healthy, and the scene where you are happily married already exist on the reel. They are real right now. But you are currently shining the light of your consciousness on the scene of lack or illness. To change your future, you do not need to write a new movie, you simply need to move the light. You need to fast forward your consciousness to the frame you desire and occupy it. This brings us to the profound mystery of your own identity. When you say I am, you are uttering the most powerful creative sound in the universe. I am is not just a grammatical phrase, it is the name of God. It is the sensation of existence itself. Before you are a man or a woman, before you are rich or poor, before you are American or foreign, you simply are. That sense of existency is the clay out of which all being is made. Whatever you attach to I am, you become. If you say I am tired, you command your body to express fatigue. If you say I am poor, you command your world to restrict your resources. Most of you are misusing this power every hour of every day. You are taking the name of God in vain, not by shouting profanities, but by attaching it to limitations. You say I am waiting, or I am hoping, or I am trying. These are confessions of absence. To master time, you must learn to say I am, followed by your desire in the present tense, even when the senses deny it. You must dare to assume I am wealthy while the creditors are knocking. You must dare to assume I am healthy while the pain is still in the body. This is not lying to yourself. This is speaking the truth of the fourth dimension, which is superior to the facts of the third dimension. When you successfully appropriate a state in imagination and you anchor it with the feeling of I am, you trigger a series of events that we call the bridge of incidents. This is where you must have absolute trust. You do not need to know how your desire will manifest. The how is not your business. The how belongs to the infinite intelligence that resides within your subconscious mind. This intelligence knows ways and means that your conscious mind could never conceive. It can weave together a million different threads of human action to bring about your specific desire. It can move people across continents to meet you. It can influence decisions in boardrooms you have never entered. It can cause a stranger to turn a corner at the exact right moment to offer you an opportunity. If you try to figure out the how, you will only limit the power. You will think it must come through your salary or through a specific person. But the universe is not limited by your logic. When you live in the end, when you stand in the state of I am, you are signaling to this higher intelligence that the destination is set. It then constructs the bridge of incidents across time to carry you there. Your journey across this bridge may seem to take time in the physical world, but in consciousness the gap is closed the moment you feel the wish fulfilled. The interval of time between the imaginal act and the physical manifestation is determined by the naturalness of the feeling. If it feels natural to you that you are wealthy, the manifestation will be swift. If it feels unnatural or forced, the manifestation will be delayed. This is why we practice. We practice to make the unnatural feeling of wealth become natural. We practice to make the unnatural feeling of health become the dominant mood. The more you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, the more you shorten the interval of time. You are collapsing time with your faith. You are pulling the future into the present and making it a living reality. There is a powerful tool to help you bridge this gap and anchor yourself in the feeling of the end, and that tool is gratitude. Gratitude is usually seen as a reaction to something you have received. You get a gift, and then you say thank you. But in the spiritual world, the order is reversed. You say thank you to receive the gift. Gratitude is the ultimate statement of faith because it implies that the transaction is complete. You cannot genuinely feel grateful for something you do not believe you have. Therefore, when you give thanks for your desire before it is visible, you are convincing your subconscious mind that it is already yours. Look at the great stories of Scripture. Before the miracle was performed, the acknowledgement was always, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me." It was not a petition, it was a confirmation. It was a sealing of the bond. When you walk through your day feeling a quiet sense of gratitude for the success that has not yet appeared, you are vibrating at the frequency of the finished result. You are telling time that it has no power over you because you are already living in the fulfillment. Many of you are tormented by the delay. You ask, "How long must I persist?" I tell you that you must persist until the outer evidence appears. But if you are truly living in the end, the question of how long will vanish. If you are mentally living in your new home, you are not asking when you will get it because you are already enjoying it. The desire to reach the goal fades because you are seemingly already there. This is the paradox. You desire a thing only when you do not have it. The moment you have it, the desire ceases and is replaced by satisfaction. So the test of whether you have truly appropriated the state is this: do you still hunger for it? Or do you feel the quiet satisfaction of possession? When the hunger is replaced by the feeling of gratitude, you know that the thing is done. It has gestated. It is on its way. You can rest. You must stop looking for signs in the outer world. Signs follow, they do not precede. The only sign you need is your own internal change of feeling. If you are looking at the external world for confirmation, you are like a man who plants a seed and then digs it up every morning to see if it has roots. You will kill the seed. You must leave it in the darkness of the soil. You must leave your desire in the darkness of the subconscious. Do not expose it to the harsh light of doubt or the skepticism of others. Let it be. Trust that the period of time required for its birth is perfect. For every conception has its own appointed hour. A child takes 9 months. A lamb takes 5. Wheat takes a season. Your desire has its own natural gestation period. Do not be anxious. Do not try to force the birth. Just maintain the feeling of the mother who knows she is carrying life. She does not see the child, but she feels the life within, and she prepares for its arrival with joy. So I invite you to change your relationship with time tonight. Stop viewing time as a barrier that keeps you from your good. View time as the canvas upon which your creation is being painted. But remember that you are the painter, and the painting is finished in your mind before the brush ever touches the canvas. Live in the mental equivalent of your desire. Occupy the state. Sleep in the state. Wake in the state. When you are doing the dishes, do them as the person you wish to be. When you are driving your car, drive it as the person you wish to be. Let the I am of your being merge with the I am of your desire. I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved. Let these not be empty words but heavy with the feeling of reality. The past is a memory. The future is a potential. The only reality is the present moment where you say I am. In this moment you have the power to select any state from the infinite wardrobe of God. You can take off the garment of the victim and put on the garment of the victor. You can take off the rags of poverty and put on the robes of abundance. It takes no time to change your mind. It takes no time to change your feeling. And once the feeling is changed, the clock of the universe begins to tick toward your manifestation. Do not watch the clock. Watch your heart. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life. When you master the internal feeling of I am, you become the master of time and space. You are no longer a victim of history. You are the creator of destiny. Now, having anchored ourselves in the eternal, now let us move into the silence and practice this profound truth together in the Sabbath state. We have spoken of the theory, and we have intellectually dissected the nature of time and the power of your own consciousness. But now we must move from the lectern of understanding to the laboratory of experience. We arrive now at the practical application of everything we have discussed, which is the entry into the Sabbath state. You may have been taught that the Sabbath is a day of the week, a Sunday or a Saturday reserved for religious observance, but I tell you that the Sabbath is not a day on a calendar. The Sabbath is a mystical state of consciousness. It is the state of mental rest that follows the spiritual act of creation. It is the moment when you look upon what you have imagined and you see that it is good and you rest from your labors. To enter the Sabbath means that you have performed the imaginal act so fully and so convincingly that you are no longer anxious about the result. You are not checking for it. You are not worrying about it. You are resting in the deep conviction that it is finished. Tonight we are going to enter this state together. I am going to guide you into the silence where you will perform the one true creative act that changes destiny. I ask you now to put aside all other thoughts. Put aside the cares of the day. Put aside the intellectual questions. We are going to step into the Holy of Holies, which is your own imagination. I want you now to find a position where your body can be completely disregarded. Sit or lie down in a way that ensures you will not be distracted by physical discomfort. You must withdraw your attention from the physical world. Your physical body is an anchor to the world of shadows, and we are about to cut that anchor so that your consciousness may float free. Close your eyes. I want you to turn your attention inward. Imagine that you are looking into the vast darkness behind your eyelids. This darkness is not empty space. It is the canvas of the universe. It is the womb of creation waiting for your seed. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, command your body to relax. Feel a wave of relaxation starting at the top of your head and flowing down through your face, releasing the tension in your jaw and your eyes. Let it flow down through your neck and your shoulders, dropping the weight of the world that you have been carrying. Let it flow through your arms to your fingertips and down through your chest and stomach, releasing all the knots of anxiety. Let it flow down your legs to your feet. You are becoming lighter and lighter. You are losing the sensation of the body. You are no longer a physical being sitting in a room. You are a center of awareness. You are pure consciousness floating in a sea of infinite potential. In this state of detachment, the world of the senses has faded. The bills, the diagnosis, the arguments, the loneliness, they are gone. They are merely shadows, and you have turned off the light that was casting them. You are now in the silence. This is the place where God speaks. And God speaks not with words, but with images and feelings. Now I want you to bring before your mind's eye the specific desire that you wish to fulfill. Do not list 10 things. Choose one. The one that, if fulfilled, would make the greatest difference in your life right now. Define it clearly. Do not be vague. Do not say, I want to be happy. Be specific. If it is a promotion, know what the title is. If it is a sum of money, know the amount. If it is a reconciliation, know the person. Clarity is essential because your subconscious mind is a faithful servant that needs precise instructions. Hold this desire in your mind not as something you want, but as something you are now going to encounter. Now we are going to construct a scene. A short, simple drama that implies your desire is already a fact. This is the critical moment. You must not imagine the process of getting it. You must imagine an event that would only happen after you have received it. If you want a new home, do not imagine packing boxes. Imagine sleeping in the new bedroom. If you want a promotion, do not imagine the interview. Imagine your partner congratulating you on the news. I want you to choose a scene that involves you doing something. You are the actor in this drama, not the audience. You are not watching yourself on a movie screen. You are seeing through your own eyes. Choose an action that involves touch. The sense of touch is the most powerful anchor for reality. Is it a handshake? Is it holding a set of keys? Is it hugging someone? Is it reading a letter? Choose a single simple action that implies fulfillment. Now I want you to step into that scene. Do it now. You are there. You are no longer in the room where your physical body is resting. You are in the future, which is now the present. Look at your hands in this imaginary world. Are they solid? Reach out and touch the object or the person in your scene. If it is a hand, feel the warmth of the skin. Feel the firmness of the grip. If it is a telephone, feel the cold plastic. If it is a piece of paper, feel the texture. Make it real. Give it sensory vividness. Now add sound. Listen. Hear the voice of the friend congratulating you. Hear the tone of their voice. Is it excited? Is it relieved? Hear your own voice replying. What would you say? You would say, thank you. You would say, isn't it wonderful? You would say, I am so relieved. Hear the ambient sounds of the room. The more senses you engage, the more your subconscious accepts this as reality. You are not pretending. You are experiencing. Now I want you to loop this action. Do not let your mind wander to the next scene. Just repeat this one action over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality. Shake the hand, then shake it again. Hear the phrase, then hear it again. With every repetition, the scene becomes more stable. It stops flickering. It becomes solid. You are driving a groove into your brain. You are writing a new program into the fabric of the universe. Keep doing it. If your mind wanders gently, bring it back to the scene. You are the master of your attention. Focus it like a laser beam on this single event. Shake the hand, feel the keys, read the letter. It is happening now. It is not going to happen. It is happening now. Now, as the scene becomes real, I want you to add the most important ingredient, the feeling. What is the dominant emotion of the wish fulfilled? It is not wild excitement. Excitement implies surprise, and surprise implies doubt. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is relief. It is a deep, profound exhale of the soul. It is the feeling of saying, thank God it is done. It is the feeling of satisfaction. Summon that feeling now. Let it wash over you. Let it rise from your belly and fill your chest. The problem is solved. The debt is paid. The body is healed. The person has returned. Feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. Feel the smile spreading across your face. Combine the action with the feeling. Shake the hand and feel the relief. Hear the voice and feel the satisfaction. You are impregnating the subconscious mind with the seed of your desire. You are marrying the thought with the emotion. This is the act of creation. Stay in this feeling. Bathe in it. Do not rush to leave. This is the Sabbath. You have done the work. You have planted the seed. The feeling of reality is the sign that the impregnation has taken place. You know it is true because you have just experienced it. The physical world may not see it yet, but you have seen it, and that is enough. You have walked in the state. You have occupied the mansion. You have touched the reality. Now I want you to slowly let the scene fade, but keep the feeling. The images may dissolve, but the scent of the experience remains with you. You are carrying the atmosphere of your fulfilled desire. You are no longer the person who sat down 10 minutes ago. That person was wanting. You are now the person who has. That person was seeking. You are now the person who has found. As you prepare to return your attention to the physical world, you must make a covenant with yourself. You must agree that you will not dig up the seed. You will not look for signs. You will not worry about the how. You have entered the Sabbath. In the Sabbath we do not labor, we do not struggle, we do not worry, we trust. We know that the bridge of incidents will appear in its own good time. We know that the seed has its own appointed hour to break through the soil. Your only job now is to walk in the conviction that it is done. If doubt arises, you simply remember this moment. You remember the handshake. You remember the voice. You remember the feeling of relief. And you say to yourself, I have seen it and I have felt it, and therefore it is so. You are now a parent to this new reality. A mother does not worry if she is pregnant. She knows. She prepares. She waits with joy. So too must you wait. Not the waiting of anxiety, but the waiting of anticipation, the waiting of the Sabbath. You have moved from the world of Caesar to the world of God. You have operated the law. You have touched the hem of the garment of reality. Feel the peace that surpasses all understanding. This peace is your armor. It protects your dream from the arrows of doubt. Wear this peace as you open your eyes. Wear this satisfaction as you walk through your door. The world has no choice but to reflect what you have just done in the silence. It is law. It is finished. Slowly now, whenever you are ready, you may open your eyes, but do not let go of the feeling. Carry it with you. It is your treasure. It is your truth. It is your life. We have now traveled through the discipline of relaxation, and we have learned how to appropriate the state of our desire, and we have even entered the Sabbath of rest. But there remains a ghost that haunts the hallways of your mind, and that ghost is your past. You may ask me, Neville, how can I live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled when my past is filled with failure? How can I imagine a loving relationship when I have a history of heartbreak? How can I imagine wealth when I remember years of bankruptcy? This brings us to the most radical and practical tool in the entire kit of the spiritual creator, which is the art of revision. I tell you that if you take nothing else from this lecture tonight but this one technique, it will be enough to liberate you completely, for there is no tyranny like the tyranny of the past. Most men are puppets of their memories. They drag the dead weight of yesterday into today, and then they wonder why tomorrow looks exactly like yesterday. They do not realize that the past is not a fixed stone monument. It is fluid, it is alive, and it is subject to change. To understand revision, you must first understand the nature of memory. You believe that memory is a record of facts, a library of unchangeable events that happened to you. But I tell you that memory is nothing more than imagination functioning in the past tense. When you remember an event, you are recreating it in your mind. You are using the exact same creative faculty that you use to visualize the future. If imagination creates reality, and we have established that it does, then your memory is actively creating your present reality. Every time you recall a grievance, every time you replay an argument, every time you dwell on a failure, you are not just remembering history, you are revitalizing it. You are taking the seed of that past event and watering it with your attention, ensuring that it will bear the same bitter fruit in your future. You are doomed to repeat the past, not because of fate, but because you refuse to let it die. You keep it alive by your memory of it. Therefore, we must learn to prune the vine of our memory. A gardener who wants a beautiful garden does not let the weeds grow simply because they have been there for a long time. He takes his pruning shears and he cuts them back. Revision is the pruning shears of the mind. It is the act of going back into your memory and rewriting the script. It is the refusal to accept that any event is final. You have the power to enter any moment of your past and change it. This is not lying to yourself, and this is not repression. Repression is pretending it didn't happen while the emotion festers. Revision is rewriting it so that the emotion is transmuted. You are changing the spiritual cause of the event. And because the outer world is merely an echo of your inner state, when you change the past, you automatically alter the trajectory of the future. Let me give you the practical method of how this is done. I recommend that you do this every single night before you go to sleep. It should be the final act of your day before you enter the silence of sleep. Review your day. Go through the events from morning to evening. Look at them objectively. You will find events that were not to your liking. Perhaps you received a letter that brought bad news. Perhaps you had a harsh exchange with your spouse. Perhaps you felt a pain in your body. Do not just accept these events as facts of life. Stop at each negative event and rewrite it. In your imagination, replay the scene, but this time make it conform to your ideal. If you received a rejection letter, see yourself opening the envelope, but read a letter of acceptance. Feel the paper in your hands just as you did in the physical reality, but change the words. Hear your voice reading the good news. Feel the thrill of success. Do this over and over until the imagined state feels more real than the physical memory. If you had an argument with a friend, replay the conversation, but this time hear them agreeing with you. Hear them speaking with kindness. Feel yourself responding with love. You are literally overwriting the tape of memory. You are neutralizing the poison of the day so that it cannot seep into your subconscious mind while you sleep. If you go to sleep with the heavy heart of a bad day, you are instructing your subconscious to create another bad day tomorrow. But if you revise the day you go to sleep a victor, you sleep in a state of success and harmony, and your tomorrow will reflect this revised state. I want to share with you a story that illustrates the immense power of this technique. I knew a man who had been estranged from his son for many years. The relationship was shattered by angry words and deep misunderstandings. The son had left home and there had been no contact for a very long time. The father was filled with guilt and resentment. He would sit alone and replay the arguments in his mind, justifying his position and blaming the boy. He was using his imagination to cement the separation. I taught him the art of revision. I told him that he could not change his son by force, but he could change his concept of the son. I instructed him to stop replaying the old arguments. Instead, every night he was to imagine that he was speaking to his son and that the boy was expressing love and kindness. He began to practice this faithfully. In his imagination, he would hear the phone ring. He would answer it and hear his son's voice. He revised the past arguments. He imagined that the fight had never happened or that it had ended in a hug. He felt the physical sensation of his son's hand in his. He did not ask the son to change. He changed the memory of the son within himself. He dissolved the anger and replaced it with love. He did this for about 2 months. One day, out of the silence, his phone rang. It was his son calling from hundreds of miles away. The boy said, "Dad, I don't know why, but I just felt an overwhelming urge to call you and tell you I love you. The breach was healed." Now ask yourself, who initiated the change? The father did not write a letter. He did not beg. He simply revised the past. By changing the past in his consciousness, he changed the present in his world. This works because there is no separation. Everyone and everything in your world is yourself pushed out. They act according to the script you hold in your mind. If you hold a script of a past injury, they must continue to play the part of the injurer. But if you revise the script, if you release them in your mind, they are free to act differently in the world. This is the true meaning of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a moral act of condoning bad behavior. Forgiveness is a mental act of revising the memory. To forgive is to forget the event completely by replacing it with what ought to have happened. If you say you forgive, but you still remember the injury with pain, you have not forgiven. You are still holding the hot coal of the memory. True forgiveness is total amnesia of the wrong through the act of revision. When you have successfully revised an event, you will be able to think of the person or the situation without any emotional sting. That is how you know the work is done. Some of you might worry that this is a form of delusion. You might say, but Neville, the event really happened, it is a fact. I ask you, what is a fact? A fact is merely a hardened state of consciousness. It has no life of its own. It is a shadow. If you withdraw the light of your attention from it and place it on a new state, the old fact must fade and the new state must harden into a fact. You are the operant power. You are not a historian recording the events of the world. You are a creator writing the events of the world. Do not be a slave to facts. Be a master of truth, and the truth is that you can be whatever you choose to be, regardless of what has happened before. Consider the implications of this for your health. If you receive a diagnosis today that is a report on your past, it is the result of your past thinking and feeling. If you accept it as final, you are projecting it into your future. But if you revise it, if you hear the doctor giving you a clean bill of health, if you remember the day not as a day of sickness but as a day of vitality, you are disrupting the pattern of disease. You are planting a new seed. I have seen so-called incurable conditions vanish because the individual refused to accept the memory of the diagnosis and instead revised it into a memory of healing. They did not fight the disease, they simply remembered a different reality until that reality crowded out the sickness. Revision is the daily hygiene of the soul. Just as you would not go to bed covered in the dirt of the day, you should not go to sleep covered in the negative debris of the day's events. Wash your mind with revision. Keep your inner world spotless. When you do this, you stop the accumulation of subconscious baggage that weighs you down. You become lighter. You become freer. You break the chain of karma. Karma is simply the law of cause and effect, but the cause is always your memory and your reaction. If you change the memory, you remove the cause, and the effect must vanish. You are no longer bound by what you did or what was done to you 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. You are free in the now to create a new past and therefore a new future. This technique requires persistence. It is not always easy to turn away from the hurt of a bad experience and rewrite it. The old self wants to lick its wounds. It wants to feel sorry for itself. It wants to tell the story of its victimization to anyone who will listen. You must be ruthless with the old self. You must deny it the satisfaction of wallowing in the past. You must pick up your pruning shears and cut those weeds down. It requires a mental effort to reconstruct a scene when your emotions are raw, but the reward is a life of freedom. As you practice this, you will find that your days become smoother. The jarring events happen less frequently. Why? Because you are no longer vibrating with the discord of the past. You have tuned your instrument to a new key, and the world is playing a new melody. So I challenge you to make this a non-negotiable part of your life. Tonight, do not let your head hit the pillow until you have reviewed your day. Look at every face you met. If any face looked at you with anger, revise it to a smile. Look at every letter you opened. If any brought lack, revise it to abundance. Look at your own heart. If you felt fear, revise it to faith. Do this until you can look back on your day with a sense of peace and satisfaction. Then and only then are you ready to sleep. For sleep is the gateway to the subconscious, and you must enter that gate with your hands full of gifts, not garbage. When you enter sleep in the spirit of a revised day, you are sowing seeds of harmony that will blossom in your tomorrow. You are literally changing your destiny one day at a time. You are not a victim of your childhood. You are not a victim of your trauma. You are not a victim of your mistakes. These things exist only as memory images in your own mind. Change the image and you change the man. This is what it means to be born again. It is not a religious ceremony. It is a psychological act. It is the daily death of the old unlovely memories and the daily birth of new lovely ones. You have the power to edit the movie of your life. Do not be a passive viewer. Step into the editing room. Cut out the scenes that do not serve you. Splice in the scenes that imply your divinity. This is your right. This is your duty. This is the art of dying to the old self so that the new self may live. We have journeyed together through the valleys of the human mind, and we have ascended the peaks of spiritual understanding. You have learned the discipline of silence, and the art of appropriation, and the mystery of time, and the power of revision. Now we arrive at the threshold of the door that leads back out into the world. But before you step through that door, I must issue this final charge to your spirit. You must understand clearly who you are and who you are not. You are not a body of flesh and blood struggling to survive in a hostile world. That is the illusion of the senses. You are not a victim of your genetics or your upbringing or your economic environment. That is the story of the old man. You are the operant power of God. You are the creative imagination of the universe individualized in the form of man. The power that holds the stars in their courses, and the power that causes the heart to beat, is the very same power that resides in your imagination. It is not a different power. There is only one power. And because you are this power, you need no permission to express the greatness that is within you. The world has conditioned you to ask for permission. You wait for a degree to feel intelligent. You wait for a bank balance to feel secure. You wait for a compliment to feel beautiful. You are constantly looking outside of yourself for a license to exist and a license to prosper. I tell you tonight that you must tear up every permission slip you have ever waited for. The law of consciousness does not require references. It does not check your credit score. It does not ask for your resume. It only asks for your acceptance. The law of gravity does not ask if you are a saint or a sinner before it holds you to the earth. It is an impersonal law that responds to your physical position. In the same way, the law of assumption is an impersonal law that responds to your mental position. If you assume you are a failure, the law will tirelessly prove you right. If you assume you are a success, the law will tirelessly prove you right. It does not care. It only serves. Therefore, the only question that matters is not what does the world think of me, but what do I think of myself. You must stop acting like a beggar at the gates of life. A beggar pleads. A beggar hopes. A beggar waits for a crumb to fall from the table of circumstances. But you are the king disguised in rags. You have the power to order the feast, but you have forgotten your lineage. Tonight I am calling you to remember. I am calling you to stand up in the dignity of your true identity. When you walk out of this room, or when you finish listening to this message, do not walk as the old self. Do not carry the posture of defeat. Wear the state of your wish fulfilled as you would wear a royal robe. It may be invisible to the eyes of others, but it is visible to the eyes of God. And when you wear this robe of conviction, the world will bow to you, people will be drawn to you, and they will not know why. Opportunities will seek you out, and they will seem like luck. But you will know the truth. You will know that the king has simply claimed his throne. Many of you will say, but Neville, the facts are against me. The diagnosis is bad. The debt is high. The relationship is dead. I ask you, what are facts? Facts are the shadows of yesterday's thoughts. They are the crystallized projections of your past fears. If you bow down to facts, you are worshipping a dead God. You are worshipping a false idol. The scripture warns us against worshipping graven images. A graven image is not just a statue of stone. A graven image is any circumstance in your life that you give power to over your own consciousness. When you tremble before a bank statement, you are worshipping a graven image. When you fear a disease, you are worshipping a graven image. You are attributing power to the created rather than the creator. You must smash these idols. You smash them not by violence but by indifference. You smash them by withdrawing your attention from them and placing it solely on the vision of your fulfilled desire. This is the only true worship. To exercise your imagination lovingly on behalf of yourself and others is the only true service to God. I know that the old man is persistent. I know that tomorrow morning the doubts will knock on your door. The senses will scream for your attention. The news will try to frighten you. This is the test. This is the fire that tempers the steel of your soul. Will you retreat? Will you go back to the comfortable misery of the victim? Or will you stand firm in the knowledge you have received tonight? You must be willing to walk alone, if necessary. You must be willing to be thought a fool by the world. The world believes in cause and effect where the cause is outside. You know that the cause is within. They will look at you and say you are dreaming. And you will smile and say, yes, I am dreaming, and my dream is the only reality. Do not argue with them. Do not try to convert them. Simply live the law. Let your life be the evidence. Let the fruit of your life be the proof that silence is louder than words, and imagination is stronger than force. You are the operant power. This phrase is important. Operant means it is working, it is active. But it only works if you operate it. You can have a magnificent machine sitting in your driveway, but if you do not turn the key and drive it, it will take you nowhere. You have the most magnificent machine in the universe, which is your mind. But most of you are letting it idle. Or worse, you are letting it run in reverse. You are using your imagination to conjure up worst-case scenarios. You are using your creative power to build prisons of fear. I charge you tonight to take the wheel. Seize the controls of your own mind. Do not let a single thought enter your consciousness without your permission. If a thought of lack comes to the door, ask it, do you serve my wish fulfilled? If it says no, turn it away. Cast it out. You are the guardian of the temple. Keep the temple clean. Keep the temple filled with the incense of faith and the light of noble assumptions. I challenge you to test this. Do not accept my words on blind faith. I do not want followers. I want practitioners. I want you to prove this for yourself. Tonight, choose one thing. It does not have to be a mountain. Choose a small thing if your faith is fragile. But choose something specific. Construct a scene. Sleep in the assumption that it is yours. Do it with all the intensity and feeling you can muster. And then watch the world. Watch the events of the next few days. If I am right, or rather if the eternal law is right, you will see that thing appear in your world. And when it appears, you will have found something far more valuable than the object itself. You will have found God. You will have found the handle of your own destiny. And once you have found that, you will never be afraid again. You will know that no matter what happens to you, you have the tool to repair it. You have the power to revise it. You have the power to transcend it. This is the art of dying to the old self. It is a daily death. Every morning you must wake up and decide who you are going to be. Are you going to be the man who remembers his failures, or are you going to be the man who imagines his success? The choice is not made once. It is made moment by moment. It is made in the silence of your own heart. The world may never know the battles you fight in the silence. They may never see the moment you decide to trust instead of fear, but they will see the result. They will see the radiance of a life lived from the inside out. They will see the abundance that flows from a mind at peace. Be that light. Be that living demonstration of the law. Do not postpone your good. Do not say, I will start tomorrow. Tomorrow is a thief. It steals your dreams. Start now. In this very moment, as you hear my voice, you can assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You can feel the ring on your finger now. You can feel the health in your body now. You can feel the security in your wallet now. It is all happening in the now. The past is a memory. The future is a promise. The present is the power. Seize the now. Occupy it. Fill it with the feeling of greatness. You are not a worm of the dust. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the lover and the beloved. You are the creator and the creation. It is all you. It has always been you. So go from this place with your head high. Do not look back at the old self. Let the dead bury the dead. You are a new creation. You have the secret of the ages in your heart. Use it. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly, but above all, use it. Do not let this knowledge gather dust in the library of your intellect. Live it. Become it. Let your life be the song of the law of assumption. Let your existence be the testament to the power of human imagination. You have nothing to lose but your chains. You have nothing to lose but your fear. You have a whole world to gain. The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to when you die. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It is available right now. Enter it, occupy it, and rejoice in it. I leave you with this final thought. You are destined for greatness because you are God asleep dreaming that He is man. The purpose of this life is to awaken from the dream and realize that you and the Father are one. Every time you use this law to lift yourself or another, you are awakening a little more. Every time you revise the past, you are wiping the sleep from your eyes. Every time you assume the wish fulfilled, you are remembering your true nature. So sleep no more. Wake up, rise up, and dare to be the divine being that you are. The world is waiting for you. The stage is set. The script is yours to write. What will you write? Write a tragedy no more. Write a romance. Write a triumph. Write a story of joy. For you are the author and the pen is in your hand. It is finished. We have now reached the conclusion of this masterclass and we stand together at a crossroads. We have traversed the landscape of the human mind from the delusion of the external world to the discipline of relaxation and from the technique of appropriation to the miracle of revision. You have heard the truth tonight, and the truth has a resonance that the soul recognizes even if the intellect struggles to comprehend it. But I must offer you a solemn warning as we part ways. The hearing of the truth is not the same as the living of it. There are many who will listen to these words and nod their heads in agreement. They will feel a momentary surge of inspiration. They will say to themselves, I am the operant power and I can change my life. But then they will turn off this video and walk back into the world of Caesar. They will encounter the first obstacle, the first bill, the first argument, and they will immediately forget who they are. They will react with the old patterns of the old self. They will fall back into the sleep of consciousness. And this hour we have spent together will become nothing more than a pleasant memory, a fleeting dream that fades with the morning light. I do not want that for you. I want this to be the turning point of your existence. The greatest enemy you will face from this moment forward is not the world outside. It is not the economy or the government or your family. The greatest enemy is the drift. It is the subtle hypnotic pull of your old habits. You have spent years, perhaps decades, building the house of your old self. You have bricked it with your limiting beliefs and mortgaged it with your fears. That house does not vanish simply because you heard one lecture. It vanishes only when you stop inhabiting it. You must make a conscious, vigilant effort to deny the old self entry into your consciousness. This requires what I call a mental diet. Just as you would not feed your body poison, you must stop feeding your mind the poison of negativity. You must become the watchman at the gate of your soul. When you wake up tomorrow morning, the old self will be waiting for you by the bed. It will hand you your old worries like a comfortable pair of slippers. It will tell you to be anxious about the future and regretful about the past. You must refuse to put those slippers on. You must step into the new day, clad in the armor of your new assumption. This is why I am inviting you to make a covenant with yourself right now. Not a promise you make lightly, but a binding agreement with the God within you. Commit to testing this law. I am not asking for a lifetime of blind faith. I am asking for a season of dedicated practice. Give yourself 30 days. For the next 30 days, commit to living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Commit to revising every single day before you sleep. Commit to ignoring the evidence of the senses when they contradict your desire. If you do this faithfully for 30 days, you will not need me to convince you of the truth. The results will be your conviction. You will see doors open that were bolted shut. You will see relationships heal that were broken. You will see supply appear out of nowhere, but you must do the work. You must be the doer of the word and not the hearer only. I know that the path of the spiritual seeker can be a lonely one. When you begin to change your concept of yourself, the people around you may not understand. They may try to drag you back down to their level of complaint and victimhood. They may call you a dreamer or a fool. This is why it is vital that you surround yourself with reminders of the truth. You need a sanctuary where you can return to remember who you are. This channel is designed to be that sanctuary. It is not just a collection of videos, it is a digital temple dedicated to the awakening of the human imagination. I invite you to subscribe to this channel not for the sake of numbers, but for the sake of your own spiritual hygiene. By subscribing, you are making a statement to your subconscious mind that you value this teaching. You are prioritizing the expansion of your awareness. You are ensuring that you have a steady stream of truth to counteract the flood of negativity that the world pours out every day. When you click that subscribe button, do it with intention. Let it be a symbolic act of joining a brotherhood and sisterhood of awakened creators. Let it be your way of saying, I am no longer satisfied with the shadows, I demand the light. We are building a community here of people who refuse to be victims, people who know that they are the writers of their own destiny. When you join us, you are not just a spectator, you are a participant in a movement of consciousness that has the power to change not just individual lives, but the entire world. For as each of us awakens, we add our light to the collective mind and we make the path a little brighter for those who follow. I also want to ask you to perform a specific act of engagement right now. I want you to go to the comment section below and leave a declaration. Do not just write a generic comment. I want you to write 3 simple words. It is finished. These words are not just a slogan, they are the words of the Master at the moment of completion. They signify that the work is done in consciousness. By writing these words, you are anchoring your intention in the physical world. You are taking the invisible feeling and giving it a visible form. You are declaring to yourself and to the universe that you have accepted your desire as a present fact. You are sealing the bond. Read the comments of others who have written the same words. Feel the power of thousands of minds uniting in a single intention. Know that you are not alone in this work. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses who are walking this path with you. As you move forward from this masterclass, you will encounter challenges. I do not promise you a life without storms. I promise you that you will have the power to walk on the water of the storm. You will no longer be the boat tossed about by the waves. You will be the presence that calms the sea. When the doubt comes, and it will come, do not fight it. Do not get angry at yourself for doubting. Simply acknowledge it, and then gently return your attention to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Treat your mind like a child that has wandered off. You do not beat the child. You take it by the hand and guide it back to the path. Return to the Sabbath. Return to the silence. Return to the deep knowing that I am. Remember that you are playing the most magnificent game in the universe. It is the game of self-discovery. God became you so that he could rediscover his own power through you. Your desires are the promises of God. They are not temptations to be suppressed, they are prophecies to be fulfilled. Every desire you have is God knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking to be let in. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you open the door. You allow the divine to express itself in a new and glorious way. Do not be afraid of your greatness. Do not shrink back into the shadows. The world needs your light. The world needs to see what a human being looks like when they are fully alive and fully aware of their power. So go now and live this truth. Do not just talk about it, be it. Walk as though you are wealthy. Speak as though you are wise. Love as though you are divine, because you are. The mask of the old self has cracked and the light is shining through. Do not patch up the mask. Let it fall away completely. Let the dead bury the dead. You are the resurrection and the life. You are the creator of your world. I leave you with this final blessing. May your imagination be wild and free. May your faith be unshakable like the mountains. May you find the peace that passes all understanding in the silence of your own heart. And may you realize that everything you have ever looked for in the outside world was always within you, waiting for your recognition. The search is over. The finding has begun. It is finished. Go in peace and let the glory of your own wonderful human imagination shine before men. Thank you for walking this path with me. I will see you in the silence.